The scent of freshly ground coffee beans filled the air at Brew Haven, one of the busiest cafés in downtown Chicago. The morning rush was in full swing, suits in a hurry, students cramming last-minute notes, and the occasional tourist marveling at the rustic decor. Behind the counter, Ethan Walker, a 22-year-old barista with tousled brown hair and a quiet smile, worked methodically. His green apron was a little faded, and his sneakers were a little worn, but his demeanor was patient and kind. He handed out cappuccinos, lattes, and cold brews with a polite "Eriugão" and a nod, asking for nothing in return. But to some irregulars, Ethan was invisible. Or worse, he was pitied. At table set, 3 young professionals laughed too loudly as they scrolled through their phones, their shiny watches catching the morning sun. "I can't believe he assists you, Eddie," one of them, Jake, sneered. "Dude must have no ambition. Imagine making minimum wage at 22, said Melissa, shaking her head. "Probably dropped out of college," added Kyle, sipping his $7 latte. Their laughter cut through the room like a knife. Ethan heard it. Of course he did. But he said nothing. Instead, he continued wiping down the counter, head bowed slightly as if he could scrub away the sting of their words. By lunch hour, the story had grown. "Em SBNet for 2 years, a regular gossiped teu friend. I heard he got fired from his last job," whispered another. "Some pitied him, some judged him, most ignored him." No one asked why Ethan, who was polite, sharp, and well-spoken, was content brewing coffee when he could, seemingly, do so much more. But Ethan didn't explain, because explanations require trust. And he hadn't met anyone who deserved the truth yet. The following Thursday, a storm battered Chicago. Rain lashed the windows of Brew Haven, the café filled with wet coats and dripping umbrellas. The usual trio, Jake, Melissa, and Kyle, entered, laughing as they shook water from their expensive jackets. The café was packed. Every table was taken except a small booth near the back. Jake made a show of striding toward Ethan at the counter. "Hey, buddy," he said, voice dripping with condescension. "Think you could maybe do something with your life?" Ethan, who had just finished handing a mocha to an elderly woman, paused. "Excuse me?" he asked, keeping his voice even. "You heard me," Jake said. "You he young. You've got 2 hands, 2 legs. Don't waste them for tea milk." Kyle chuckled loudly. Melissa pretended to be busy on her phone, but her smirk said enough. The café fell awkwardly silent. Ethan's knuckles whitened around the cloth he was using to wipe the counter. "Stew?" He said nothing. An hour later, just as the storm eased, a black SUV pulled up in front of Brew Haven. Out stepped a tall, distinguished man in an expensive overcoat. Jonathan Walker, one of the most powerful Sears America, founder of Walker Enterprises, a conglomerate with stakes in tech, finance, and healthcare. The door chimed as he entered, water pooling at his polished shoes. The café practically stopped breathing. Jonathan looked around, then spotted Ethan behind the counter. He smiled warmly, and then, without hesitation, he crossed the café, embraced Ethan tightly, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Son, are you ready?" The café erupted in stunned whispers. "Son." Ethan pulled off his apron, tossed it gently onto the counter, and grabbed his backpack. Jake, Melissa, and Kyle stared, mouths agape. Jonathan turned to them, his voice calm but commanding. "You judged a young man by his job, not his character. What a small way to see the world." He turned back to Ethan. "You did well, son. You saw what I needed you to see. Ready to go?" Ethan asked, grinning. Jonathan chuckled. "The board is waiting." And with it, Ethan, the boy they mocked, the failure they pitied, walked out of the coffee shop alongside one of the wealthiest men in the world. The news broke 2 days later. Jonathan Walker's son completes undercover experiment, working-class values and character testing in real-world settings. Ethan Walker had spent the past 2 years living simply, working minimum-wage jobs not because he had to, but because he wanted to understand the people most sales forget exist. He had built his life philosophy around one principle: the measure of a person is how they treat those they think they don't need. The very people who had mocked him became a viral symbol of superficiality in judgment. Meanwhile, Ethan took his seat on the board of Walker Enterprises, vowing to build a company that respected every worker, every story, every soul. In Brewhaven, business boomed, but not because of the coffee. Because people wanted to sturgeon the place where a billionaire's son chose to live humbly. He taught an entire city that greatness has nothing to do with the suit you wear or the coffee you brew. It's about the heart you carry when no one is watching.